After 15 years in landscaping and design, I can walk into any backyard with a pool and tell you in under a minute whether it looks like a resort or a public rec center. A deck so hot, you can't stand on it barefoot. Fencing that makes your yard feel like a cage. Blue water surrounded by nothing but gray concrete as far as the eye can see. They all looked fine on installation day. And the biggest mistake on this list? It's the one most pool owners made on purpose. Thinking bigger was always better. By the time they realize the problem, there's no cheap fix. Let's get into it, starting with number 10. Number 10, cheap pool fencing. Look, I get it. Pool fencing is a code requirement, not a design choice. That's exactly why so many people treat it as an afterthought. They grab whatever basic chain link or thin aluminum panel meets the local regulation and call it done. And every single time I walk into one of those backyards, it feels like stepping into a municipal swimming facility instead of someone's private outdoor space. Here's the thing. Most building codes require pool barriers to be at least 48 inches high with self-closing, self-latching gates. That's a significant amount of fencing. When all of that perimeter is covered in cheap chain link or stamped aluminum, it dominates your sightlines completely. You're not admiring your pool, you're staring at a cage around your pool. The fix is simpler than most people expect. Frameless or semi-frameless glass pool fencing gives you full code compliance with virtually zero visual obstruction. If glass isn't in the budget, and it does run $60 to over $100 per linear foot installed, horizontal aluminum slat fencing in a dark color like charcoal or matte black looks sharp and modern at roughly half that cost. Wrought iron is another solid option that nearly disappears against a green backdrop. Whatever you go with, make sure the finish coordinates with your other outdoor hardware. A silver chain link panel sitting next to a nice timber pergola is the kind of visual clash that drags the whole space down instantly. And getting the fence right is just the start, because the surface you're standing on next to that pool can make your entire summer miserable if you pick the wrong material. Number 9, deck surface that burns your feet. I worked with a homeowner a few years back who spent serious money on a dark charcoal composite deck around their new pool. On install day in April, it looked stunning, sleek, modern, exactly what they wanted. Then July arrived. That surface was hitting temperatures well above 140 degrees in direct afternoon sun. Their kids couldn't walk from the door to the pool without flip-flops. The lounge chairs were untouchable by noon. That beautiful deck became a no-go zone during the exact hours they'd built it for. This isn't a freak case. Dark composite decking and certain dark-toned stamped concrete absorb and hold heat far more than people anticipate. On a 90-degree day, a dark composite surface can easily reach 150 degrees or higher. That's not uncomfortable. That's a genuine burn risk, especially for bare feet, small children, and pets. The smarter play is lighter-toned materials with lower heat absorption. Natural stone like travertine or limestone in a light finish stays noticeably cooler, often 20 to 30 degrees below dark composite in identical sun exposure. If you want composite, look specifically for products marketed with cool deck technology and published solar reflectance index ratings. And getting your surface right matters even more when you see what we cover in a few points. Because where your deck ends and your yard begins is a whole separate problem most people completely ignore. If your deck already runs hot, even a large outdoor area rug rated for pool use in the main walking zones brings the surface temperature down enough to make it bearable through peak hours. But even if your deck is the perfect temperature, it won't matter much if the first thing your guests notice poolside is a hulking pump unit and a pile of hoses sitting right in their sight line. Coming in at number 8, pool equipment in plain sight. Ever walked out to a beautifully set pool area, nice furniture, sparkling water, and then right there in your peripheral vision sits a hulking filter unit, a tangle of PVC pipes, and a bucket of chlorine tablets? It kills the whole scene instantly. Pool equipment is unavoidable. Pumps, filters, heaters, chlorinators. A typical residential pool system takes up a footprint of roughly 4 by 6 feet, sometimes more when you add a heater. And most installations default to placing all of it directly adjacent to the pool for the shortest plumbing run. That's convenient for the installer. It's terrible for your backyard's appearance. The noise alone is worth addressing. A standard single-speed pool pump runs at 65 to 75 decibels, roughly the volume of a vacuum cleaner running non-stop. That hum carries right across a quiet backyard, especially on a calm summer evening when all you want is to relax poolside. The fix doesn't require relocating anything. A slatted timber or composite screen, even just 5 feet wide and 4 feet tall, blocks the visual clutter completely. Alternatively, a dense planting cluster of boxwood, holly, or tall ornamental grasses placed 18 to 24 inches in front of the equipment creates a natural screen while still allowing the airflow your pump needs to prevent overheating. Just make sure you maintain at least 12 inches of clearance on all sides for service access. If this is saving you from a costly mistake, subscribe. I drop videos like this every week. Now here's a thought. Even if your equipment is hidden and your deck is comfortable, what happens to your backyard when the sun goes down? Because the next mistake turns your entire outdoor space into a dead zone every single evening. We're at number 7, and this is where a lot of people start to squirm. No pool lighting at all. Here's something most homeowners don't think about. Your pool gets used most during the longest days of summer, which sounds great. But those warm evenings between 7 and 10 p.m. are the real prime time, especially once the afternoon heat finally breaks. And if your pool area has zero lighting, that entire window disappears. You've got this beautiful space, and it completely shuts off the moment the sun drops below the tree line. I walked a property inspection at dusk last year. Gorgeous pool, quality furniture, solid materials everywhere. Then the light faded and the whole backyard vanished into shadow. The homeowner admitted they hadn't used the pool after dark even once in 3 full years. 3 years of summer evenings completely wasted. At minimum, you want underwater LED pool lights. Go for color temperature adjustable models rated at 2700 Kelvin or warmer for that soft, inviting glow. Cool white LEDs in a pool look institutional, like a hospital corridor underwater. Beyond the pool itself, add path lighting along every walking route from the house to the water, and at least 2 uplights on nearby trees or a feature wall to create depth and atmosphere. A full pool lighting package with underwater LEDs, path lights, and a few accent fixtures typically runs $1,500 to $3,000 installed. Far less than most people expect for something that literally doubles your usable hours. Would you actually use your pool after sunset right now? Or does your backyard just shut down when the light fades? And honestly, lighting problems are relatively easy to solve compared to what's coming at number 1. That one has no quick fix at all. But first, if lighting changes the mood of your pool at night, wait until you hear what the wrong color does to it in broad daylight. This next one surprises almost everyone. Number 6, the electric blue pool liner. Let's talk about that bright, vivid blue that's been the default pool color for decades. If you built or resurfaced your pool anytime from the 80s through the 2000s, there's a strong chance you went with that classic electric blue. It was the standard. Every pool brochure showcased it. Every showroom pushed it as the default. But stand next to one of those pools today and then walk over to a pool finished in a dark charcoal pebble or a deep blue-green quartz aggregate. The difference is immediate. The electric blue reads artificial, almost chemical. The darker, more natural tones make the water itself look richer, deeper, and more like something you'd find at a high-end resort than a suburban backyard. This isn't just personal taste. It's how light actually works. Darker pool finishes absorb more light, creating visual depth that makes the water appear more inviting from every angle. Lighter electric blue finishes reflect light harshly, and as they age, vinyl liners fade noticeably within 5 to 9 years, plaster within 8 to 12, that blue shifts toward a washed-out, almost gray tone that simply looks tired. If you're due for resurfacing, look at pebble finishes in French gray, midnight blue, or deep green. For vinyl liner replacements, darker solid tones and subtle patterns are widely available now at the same price point as the traditional blue. A standard vinyl liner swap runs between $3,000 and $5,000 for a typical residential pool. The color upgrade costs you nothing extra. Now, liner color is something you can change relatively easily, but the next mistake on this list is a structural problem that compounds with every passing season. And by the time most people notice the damage, undoing it gets expensive fast. All right, we're halfway down the list now, and from here on out, these mistakes get harder and more expensive to fix. Next up, number 5, pool placed under large trees. I worked on a property about 8 years ago. Beautiful in-ground pool, mature silver maples on 3 sides. The canopy was stunning. Dappled light filtering through, green everywhere, felt like a private retreat carved right out of the woods. The homeowners loved it for years. Then I got the call. Skimmer baskets were clogging every few days. The pool surface had deep tannin stains that no amount of brushing could remove. And worst of all, root growth from those maples had shifted the concrete deck on the north side nearly a full inch, cracking 2 entire sections of coping stone. That repair bill alone cost significantly more than it would have to install proper root barriers at the beginning, or better yet, to choose the right species at the right distance in the first place. Here's the rule of thumb. Large deciduous trees should sit a minimum distance from the pool edge equal to their expected mature canopy spread. For most shade trees, that means keeping them 20 to 30 feet away. If you want greenery near the pool, and you absolutely should, use smaller ornamental species like crepe myrtles or Japanese maples, planted at least 8 to 10 feet from any hardscape, and always with a root barrier on the pool side. Watch the species too. Trees that drop heavy seeds, sticky sap, or dark berries, sweet gum, mulberry, pine, are the worst offenders near pools. Even at a safe distance, they'll pack your skimmer and stain your finish every season. And speaking of how your pool area connects to the rest of your property, the next mistake is one I see on nearly every single property I visit, and most homeowners don't even realize it's dragging their whole backyard down. Number 4. Hard edge where your pool deck meets the lawn. Poured concrete decks have dominated backyard pool design for decades. But here's the part nobody talks about. Most of those decks just stop. Concrete ends, grass begins. No border, no planting bed, no grade change whatsoever. Just a hard, abrupt line where the pool area becomes the lawn. And here's something most people don't consider. That hard edge is one of the single biggest reasons pool areas feel disconnected from the rest of the yard. It's not the pool itself that looks out of place, it's the transition. Your eye hits that abrupt line and your brain reads two completely separate zones that were never meant to be together. The pool area looks dropped onto the property by crane rather than designed into the landscape. The fix is a transition strip, and even a narrow one makes a dramatic difference. A planting bed just 12 to 18 inches wide between the deck edge and the lawn, filled with low ornamental grasses, ground cover, or compact shrubs, softens that line completely. If planting isn't practical, a single row of natural flagstone or river rock set flush with the ground creates a visual bridge between the hard surface and the soft landscape beyond it. Another option is a subtle grade change. Instead of the deck sitting perfectly flush with the lawn, a gentle 2 to 3 inch step down with a clean finished edge gives the pool area a defined boundary that still flows naturally into the garden. The difference between a pool that looks installed and a pool that looks designed almost always comes down to these edge details. But even the best transition in the world won't help if there's nowhere comfortable to actually sit near the water. And this next mistake? I once watched a family spend over $40,000 on a pool area that sat completely empty all summer long. 3. No shade structure on the deck. We're down to the top 3, and these are the mistakes that truly separate a backyard that gets used from one that just looks good in photos. Number 3. No shade structure on the deck. I visited that property last summer. Over $40,000 invested in a gorgeous pool and patio renovation. Travertine deck, upgraded coping, quality furniture, everything dialed in. And on a July afternoon at 2 o'clock, every single chair was empty, every lounger untouched. The whole family was inside with the curtains drawn. The reason was simple: not one single square inch of shade anywhere on that deck. This is the most common pool design failure I encounter. People obsess over the pool shape, the surface materials, the furniture styling, and completely forget that in peak summer, nobody wants to sit in direct sun for 3 straight hours. Your skin burns, your drinks go warm in minutes, your phone screen becomes unreadable, the furniture itself gets too hot to sit on. You need a minimum of 60 to 80 square feet of shaded area on your pool deck. That's roughly the footprint of a dining table and 4 chairs. A freestanding pergola with a retractable canopy is the most versatile option, typically running $3,000 to $8,000 installed depending on material. Shade sails are the budget-friendly route. A quality sail rated at 90% UV block or higher covers a generous area for under $500, though your anchor points need to be properly engineered for wind load. Even a pair of large cantilever umbrellas, the offset pole type with no center post blocking the table, transforms usability for a couple $100s each. But shade without any greenery still feels sterile. And the next mistake is the one that makes pool areas look more like commercial facilities than private backyards, and most homeowners can't even put their finger on what's missing. Number 2. All concrete, zero planting. On a 90-degree day, an unshaded concrete pool deck reaches surface temperatures between 120 and 130 degrees. Pavers run similar numbers. Now picture that entire space. Deck, walkways, patio extension, all hard surface stretching in every direction without a single plant, shrub, or pot of greenery breaking it up anywhere. You haven't built a backyard retreat. You've built a heat island with a pool in the center of it. But it goes beyond temperature. A pool surrounded by nothing but hardscape reads as institutional. It looks like a hotel pool, or a community rec center. There's no sense of privacy, no layering, no life. Your eye scans the space and finds nothing to rest on except flat, uniform surface running all the way to the fence line. If you've made it this far in the video, you already understand pool design better than most homeowners, so this should click immediately. The fix doesn't require tearing anything up. Container planting is the fastest path to transformation. 3 to 5 large pots, 16 inches in diameter minimum, bigger if possible, planted with ornamental grasses, agave or tropical-style plants like bird of paradise instantly break the monotony. For permanent beds, even a border strip just 18 to 24 inches wide along 1 or 2 edges of the deck, filled with a mix of low grasses and flowering perennials, changes the entire atmosphere of the space. Choose species that tolerate reflected heat and pool splash. Lavender, rosemary, daylilies, and dwarf fountain grass are all reliable performers near chlorinated water and hot surfaces. Now, every single fix we've covered today is manageable. A screen here, a planting bed there, a smarter material choice. All of them, except number 1. This is the mistake that costs the most, frustrates homeowners the longest, and has no easy answer. And here it is. Number 1. The oversized pool eating the entire yard. This isn't about a wrong material or a bad color choice. This is the foundational decision that shapes everything else we've talked about today. And it's the one most pool owners get wrong before a single shovel hits the ground. Here's what happens. Someone decides to build a pool, and the natural instinct is to go as big as the yard will allow. The pool company is happy to oblige. Bigger pool, bigger contract. So they fill the backyard with the maximum footprint, leaving a narrow ribbon of concrete around the perimeter, maybe a thin strip of grass on one side and nothing else. No room for a dining area, no space for lounging away from the water, no planting, no play area for the grandkids. Just water surrounded by a border of hardscape barely wide enough to walk on. For that first summer, it feels fantastic. Plenty of room to swim. Then the second summer rolls around and reality settles in. Where do you set up the grill? Where do guests sit when they don't feel like swimming? Where do the kids ride bikes or toss a ball? Where does a table for 6 go when family comes over on the 4th of July? I walked a property 3 years ago where the owners were trying to sell. The pool was gorgeous, 16 by 32 feet in a standard suburban backyard. But the real estate agent told me directly that the pool was hurting the listing. Buyers walked into the yard and saw no usable outdoor space beyond the water. That home sat on the market over 70 days longer than comparable houses in the same neighborhood. Here's the guideline I give every client. Your pool should occupy no more than 25 to 30% of your total backyard square footage. A 12 by 24 foot pool in a typical suburban lot gives you plenty of swimming space while leaving room for everything else. Seating, planting, dining, a fire pit, and genuine breathing room around the edges. Because here's the insight most people miss entirely. Your backyard is not a pool. It's an outdoor living space. The pool is one feature inside it. An important one, sure, but just one. The homeowners who understand that distinction are the ones who actually use their yard every single day, not just the days they feel like getting in the water. So, let me ask you, does your pool leave room for living, or did you give up your whole backyard for a swim? If you've got a few of these in your yard, don't panic. Most are fixable without ripping everything out. Pick the one that bothers you most and start there. But if you're planning any changes this summer, you need to see this next video. It covers the outdoor design mistakes that silently kill your property value. It's on your screen right now. Click it.